Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Eddy Smits. He is a public speaker, author, licensed NLP practitioner, life coach, and he was a professional clown for 22 years. As a hospital clown, he visited more than 10,000 sick and palliative children. And to do this job, he had to display extraordinary leadership. He also became an expert in authentic communication. Welcome to the show, Eddy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Eddy. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll be talking about clown wisdom for life success. You have a lot of wisdom by being a professional clown, not anywhere else but a hospital to take care of the children. So we'll talk about that. But so before we come to a lot of discussion on this, let's understand a bit about your journey so that people know who they are listening to and also learn from your journey itself.
Yeah. Okay. I'm from Belgium. Grew up there, and actually I studied to become a teacher. But I found that the structure and I couldn't really get my creativity flowing enough by being a teacher. And then at some point I founded my own theater company, which I started with puppet theater. So I started that way to perform for children. But at that point, I saw somebody on TV as a clown, and what attracted me in the clown figure is that it had a tremendous attraction to children. So I wanted to know more about that because I worked with children. I wanted to know more about it, and so I got into clowning, learned about it, etc. And at some point, an organization here in Belgium asked me if I was interested in performing for sick children in hospitals. And of course, that was a great challenge to do. I started that. And that's how it all began. And then at the end of my career, I mostly did palliative children, so children that were about to die. And that was the period in my life that I learned so much about myself, about life, about relationships, communication, everything, actually. And after I did the work, I had something, okay, with all this wisdom I have now, that I have experienced, there has to be something that you can use in your real life, in your marriage, in your business, whatever. And that's exactly what I did. I wrote a book about that. And that's exactly what I'm doing now is using that thing that I used as a clown in business, in communication, etc. So that's my work now.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Eddy. Now, I want to understand from you. You were a hospital clown.
Yes.
More than 10,000 sick children you visited
Yes.
and took care of them. You wanted to make them smile.
Hmm.
So I want to understand who made each other smile. You made them smile, or did they teach you more about smiling and life?
That's of course the job of a clown. We want to make people smile, and in hospitals, we want to do that because the child is afraid or is in pain, etc. And a smile relieves all that. So that's the goal. But with sick children, it's not that easy because when you are performing, let's say, as a clown, children they come to you and you're the clown and you don't need to do anything or much when you're a clown. Children will spontaneously start to laugh. Now in hospitals it's a different case because they are sick, they're afraid. And so the thing there is you really have to connect first with a child before even thinking about smiling and laughing. But once you have that connection, then you can start trying to get it to smile. And because that is so important, that connection, we had to not overcome that, but have really some guts once in a while to get through to the child. Because when a child is in the last days of its life, then parents are not that keen or letting you in. So that was the first obstacle you needed to do is getting with the child even. So all these challenges formed that you were more than a clown. You had to display leadership. You had to do all these things too, just to get this connection with the child. But that made you so strong, of course, because when you can do that, you can learn a lot of things about it, of course.
What did you learn from those children? Because you talk about, no nonsense in life, and
Yes.
and when you are young, you want to just play around.
Well,
What did they teach you about life?
well, playing, of course, is very, very important. And even when we grow up, we need to play. But I think the most that I learned from them is that children are honest. They just tell it right in your face, and that's also still the best when you're an adult. But we dislearn that, right? We learn to be dishonest and not honest because we think it gives us more merit. But when we can put the switch back and be again honest, you will notice that other people will come to you. Your life will be different, and actually, that is really the biggest thing I learned from children: how sick they are, how much fear they have. They are still honest and open to you, and that's what I love so much about working with children.
Right. And so I want to understand from you. You talk about to be happy by simplifying and common sense. What do you mean? It sounds very simple and very common, but I
Yes,
would want to help
yes,
want you to help us
yeah.
understand this common thing, but which is so uncommon nowadays.
Yeah, that's a little bit the problem. It all looks simple and seems simple, but there's always more behind it. But common sense actually is the grown up attitude from the clown. As a clown, you are a sort of figure, and the common sense is what you do with people. And you know, especially on social media, let's just take that example. We just believe everything that comes to us, and when gurus say, oh, we can make sure you earn $1 million in 3 months, just saying something, we tend to believe it, but in the back of our mind we say, no, that's not possible, but still we are going to believe them, and we are going to get into things. So our common sense is something we all have, but we don't use it anymore, or we should use it more. Also in relationships, when you feel like something is off when you're talking to somebody, your common sense says, hey, there's something off here, right? But still we do as if nothing is wrong, etc., etc. When you do that with children, they immediately say to you, oh, I don't like you, for example, right? But this honesty that they still have, we don't have anymore. And we should use it more. That's also honesty, common sense. It's all a little bit taken together. But common sense for me is the grown up, how do you call it? The grown up version of being a clown for children is common sense. Use common sense in your life. I don't know if it makes it clear, but yeah, that's what it means.
Yes, it does, Eddie. Let's understand it a bit more. You talk about, you know, cutting the nonsense.
Yeah.
But in our life, a lot of times people say that, do not take yourself so seriously.
Yes.
As a professional clown, how do you balance between not getting into the trap of like taking your life so seriously, and also cutting out nonsense at the same time,
Yeah.
because many a times life is also between these two pendulums, some sort of a pendulum.
It depends of the situation. If you let's go back to the clown thing. When you talk to the parents, you are really no nonsense. You're professional. You do things like that. When you're with the children, you don't take it serious. You play and you go along. It's the same in life. In some areas, you can play along and you can do whatever you want, and in other areas, you have to be serious. You have to be professional, and that's the only thing for me. That's the only thing that counts. You just evaluate the situation and you see, okay, do I need to be serious here, or can I laugh with it, or what's going on? So you have to feel what's going on at every point in your life, or in a meeting, for example, or when you meet people, or in your work. There's always a moment when you need to be serious, and always a moment when you can laugh, and it's up to you to find out which is what. The beautiful thing is you can't go wrong. You know, when you think it's playful and you are playful and you get reactions as, what are you doing? You know you're wrong and you can switch, right? And it's the other way around too. If you're too professional and you start talking like you are the king of the world, and people are going like, Who's this guy?" Then you also know you're wrong, and you can turn it around. And that's what we as a clown did constantly. We tried things, we threw things, and sometimes we got something back, and sometimes we didn't. But the moment you get something back, that's the moment you go further and you try to play the game along. And that's what you do exactly in life. You throw something and you look what comes back, and with that you go further. And what I see a lot with people is they already have these things in their minds. They already think that they are going to know what they say. No, just wait, listen, and see what happens and react. No, it's a ping pong game. If somebody hits a ball very hard to you, you will hit it completely different than when he hits it in a soft way. And that's the same in a conversation. That's the same in a relationship. That's the same in business. That's the same everywhere. So that's what we learned from clowning.
Absolutely. Now let's apply this whole understanding in terms of business, in terms of entrepreneurship and leadership. You talk about how one can improve their leadership by cutting the nonsense.
Yeah.
How does a leader know what is sense and what is nonsense? How does he cut out that nonsense? Help us understand a bit from that
Well,
perspective.
of course, yeah, of course, you have the choice. If you want to sell nonsense, that's your choice, right? I see sometimes advertising on TV or whatever that I have something. Who believes this nonsense? It's so far off that, but apparently some people believe it. So to begin with, that's your choice. If you want to do it like that, it's your choice. The thing is, if you do it in an honest way, right, then you build lasting relationships, not short ones, but lasting ones. It's the same with building a car, right? If you build a car and you tell people, hey, this car is from getting you from A to B, and you have this is a family car, and our importance is that it doesn't break down. See, this is our car, right? And then people say, okay, yeah, this is the car. But you don't go advertise that car. Oh, that's a sports car. It doesn't use any petrol, blah, 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 blah. Then you will fool people and they will buy the car, right? But only once. So if you're honest, you build long relationships. But if you're dishonest, maybe you will earn more money when you're dishonest. Maybe, because people will buy your things. But if you want to have a long lasting relationship, a business relationship, or whatever relationship, then for me, it's based on trust and honesty.
Absolutely, absolutely, Eddie. Let's understand and learn about life a bit more through your book, Model C, a search into how the attitude of a client can improve your all areas in life. Help us understand. I like this name, Model C. Why this name?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit. I didn't have a title for the book, so the title was just at the end. I had to figure out a title, and well, the C is just for clown, and the model is how can you model this
Now I get
attitude
it.
of a clown into your life. So that's what it is actually. That's just what it is. Simple.
Very nice. Now I get it. The C part, I get it very well. And now I see the
Yeah.
aptness of it all. What is this book all about? And who is this book for?
It's all about how it's all about what a clown does in hospitals and how you can use it in your real life. And the thread, the really red chords through the book is every situation that you encounter, every bad situation, can turn you can turn into a positive. So what the clown does, let me give you a little example. I had a lot of palliative children who had chemo, so their hair fell off, and I always made that a strong thing. So they were most of them didn't like it, of course, that they were growing bald. But then I came in and I'm bald too, right? And I said, hey, that's a good thing you're bald. And then they had something. "Ah, how can it be a good thing? Ah, you don't use gel. You don't need to go to a hair dresser. So I made this negative thing. I made it a positive thing. So they were like, And I said, oh, and by the way, all the handsome men are bald, or if it was a girl, then you say, now you have a look nobody has. I played with it, and with everything that they had, I turned it into a positive. And that's what you also can do in your real life. No matter how bad the situation is, you can always turn it into something positive. I used to also, I always tell the joke from, okay, people are dying, even that's good for somebody because the undertakers have more work. So I know that's a little bit a dark joke, but there's a lot of truth in it. However bad the situation is, there's always something good about it. And that's also often what I do in my coaching is when people encounter something, I tell them, okay, now tell me three good things that will come out of this. And in the beginning, they ask something like, what do you mean good things? That they are no good things. But the more they think about it, the more they take their time to think about it, that they realize, hey, yeah, this could be a good thing that comes out of it. Or this is, and you really turn the bad situation into a good situation. And that's exactly what a clown does in a hospital. You can do it in your real life, in your work, in your relationships, as a teacher. I mean, whatever. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, Eddie. Now, as a professional clown, you did your job, but and you talked about being happy.
Mhm.
But my life does not end just by being a clown.
True.
Beyond that, you have your real life.
True.
Did you find any time when life became difficult for you and the wisdom of the clown helped or did not help you to remain as cheerful as or happy as you were preaching in your job time?
Yeah.
How would you like to? How can people look at the not so easy part of life?
Yeah. Well, and that I think that's a really profound and good question. What you're asking. There will always be times in your life that will be difficult, or that will be sad. I have them. Everybody has them, and you can do two things, right? Um, you can have pity on yourself and go down more, or you can at some point pick yourself up and try to see it in another way, or try to find another way. And in my life, there were a lot of downs, there were a lot of ups, but also a lot of downs. I divorced. I stopped performing. I went into a really big depression. At some point in my coaching, and didn't make money enough. I had to find a normal job again. I mean, and all these things that come with it. Um, the only thing I never did was gave up, right? And my common sense at some points helped me. When I was doing my in the beginning the coaching job, and money didn't come in, I wasn't stubborn, and I used my common sense and said, okay, the money is not coming in. I'm doing something wrong. I don't know what, but okay, let's just pause this and make sure I'm going to do a job, because you need money to pay your rent and stuff. So at some point, I used that common sense, and that was also when I was in bad situations. I kept using the common sense because I knew that at some point things would turn, as long as I kept thinking about possibilities. The moment you stop thinking about possibilities, yeah, then it's over, of course. But as long as you see possibilities, you keep on going. And if you don't see them yourself, let somebody help you. Talk to a friend, talk to your spouse, talk to your children, you know, talk to somebody, or talk to a professional, a coach, or whatever. But as long as you see possibilities, that's when you go on. Same in clown work. As long as you see possibilities to make that child laugh, as long as you can go on doing things, even if it doesn't laugh, doesn't matter. As long as you pick up other things, play with it, keep on playing, keep on doing it, and at some point the child will laugh. I mean, in my career, I can't remember, maybe one, two in all my career that didn't laugh, maybe, but I kept on going as long as it took, right, to make him laugh. And in the beginning of my when I was a clown, sometimes that took a long time. But the more experience you get, the easier it gets, of course, because you start to look at them, see it, and how do they react. So you start more, um, less doing, more observing. That's also the thing you should do in life. Do less. I mean, with doing less, I mean, don't talk as much, just listen and see what's going on. And then when you have the situation, when you assess the situation, then move on and then talk. So it's really all about that in life.
All about that in life. There is much to learn from you, Eddie, and I'm sure a lot of people would like to learn more from you, about you, take your help through your coaching. So, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
I think the best way is just connect with me on LinkedIn. Just put in my name, you'll find me. Of course, you can go to my website, eddysmits.com. Don't be afraid to connect. That's always what I say. Open a chat, pose your question. I always answer, maybe not within a few hours, but certainly within a day or few days. Even if you have whatever you have on your mind, just pose it to me, right? Um, I won't charge you. I will really try to help you in the chat or even with a conversation face to face like we are doing now. Um, I really like that people do that. And sometimes it's hard for people. It's sometimes it's a big step, to write in a chat. Okay, can you help me with this or can we talk about this? But please do. I mean, I don't bite. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Bye bye.